Right, right. How does it go? Green eyes, fried rice. I can cook an egg on you. That's my jam right there, man. Harry Styles. Hey, that reminds me. Beehive. Hold on. Let's get our guest off the camera. I don't want him to catch us straight here. Okay. Is he off? Is he clear? Is he safe in the back green room? Okay. Hey, Beehive, come at me. Frapp and Harry Styles deserve to win that Dadgum award this year. Frap off, come at me. Okay, now you can let it back on. Sorry, I just had to let that out. You know, yeah. Came for the queen. They say if you aim for the queen, you better not miss. But what if I'm King Henry VIII? I mean, okay, wait, take him back off. I don't want him to catch the Catholic straight here. Go ahead, take him off. Is he safe? Is he tucked away safe? You sure? Okay, King Henry VIII was so like lustful and daggum raw that he went to the Pope. I talked to this with Miss Shannon earlier. He went to the Pope and said, "Hey Pope, I want to divorce my wife because her sister is younger and hotter." And the Pope was like, "Oh, that goes against God." He goes, "Hey Pope, wait, hang on, wait a minute. God is telling me something. He's giving me a vision. He's giving me I gotta go Southern pastor here. He's giving me a vision. How somebody out there hear me. And what God is telling me to tell you, Pope, is that now I'm in control of the church. And I'm gonna divorce that. For real? Am I immediate? Am I out of timeout? Well, basically, he says I'm gonna divorce her and marry her sister. Your guess is bad. Okay, all right. Anyway, Catholicism, shouts to them and all they do. So this is Urban Academia. I'm your host Jay Zilla, and with me I have the wonderful Joel Lobo. That is not your last name, bro. What is your last name?
It is. It is my last name.
Lobo is what? Small wolf,
It
right?
gets even stranger though because I was actually I'm from India originally. I moved to the U.S. in 2005.
India.
Yes.
Oh, I'm just now seeing you, Joe. You're beautiful. Wow. Wow. Oh man. Whew. Joe, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So you're from India. Talk to me. How did you come across the name Lobo, which means small wolf, right?
It does mean wolf in Spanish, yes. But I was born. I was born actually. Well, long story short, I was born in the Middle East. So my parents were from India. They were working in the Middle East, working in Kuwait at the time, and I was born in Kuwait. But as soon as I was born, well, not as soon as, a few months after I was born, the first Iraq War happened in Kuwait, and so we went back to India. And then I was in India for a while, and then moved back to Kuwait, and then moved to the U.S. All in all, I say that to say I have lived in Kuwait, but I identify as being from India. I am from India culturally. And actually, I'm not the only Lobo. I do know a few other Lobos in India. And the way we moved, my mom actually got a work here as a nurse in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and so we came through her. We didn't realize that the term Lobo is famous in Albuquerque until we got here, and I was really confused as to why my name was plastered all over the city. But
Lobo Canyon, the University of New Mexico
Lobo
Lobos.
Jewelry. I know Lobo law firms. I was like, I'm gonna sue all these bitches.
Whoa, wait. Okay, sorry. I should have said. So we're trying to cut back on cursing.
All right. The B word is.
That's my fault.
The B word and the F word are my favorite.
All right. What is it? Huh? What about it? What do you mean? It's not doing anything. Is somebody on? Sorry, we got some technical, bickering going on back here. What's the deal? What I do? You sure? Oh, apology accepted. So as I was saying, I'm gonna pay for that later, boy. Woo! Yeah. So sorry. So the ideal is we're trying to play around with the algorithm and we're trying to get this stuff out to as many people as possible. If you slip up, that's fine. I should have told you beforehand. I apologize. Yeah.
No
Secretly,
worries.
those are two of my favorite words, but I'm
Oh
not good
my
at
god, the
using
B
them.
word is my favorite. I have a tattoo of it.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna circle back around to
It,
that.
but I don't often use it. Very rarely do I use it as a term of like an insult. I typically use it as a term of endearment or
Uh-huh.
empowerment, right? Like, what's
Right.
up, bees? Or like, this might be right here, right? Like, but I'm not. I don't use it like I don't use it when I'm cursing somebody out.
Right, right. What
It,
do you use when you're cursing somebody out? I think is the
there's
appropriate
worse
question
words
here.
out there, and but the thing is, I can read a mofo if I needed to, right? Like, I mean, I don't really
Huh.
use curse words, but I can. My mouth will move faster than Rihanna puts out albums. Like, I will put it like because you gotta just know the personal insults, man. Like, I mean, you gotta know that's where if you really want to
Oh
insult
man.
somebody, like you gotta know like stuff that's personal to them and like go for the jugular. But
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm 6'4", 320 pounds. I'm overweight. So very my two front teeth are fake. I got knocked out in football, and I'm missing a tooth here. I broke it on a piece of bread. Yeah, there's so
you
many
broke it on a
bread.
piece of bread.
I should have known. If I'd have known you, I would have said, "Hey, we've made a lot of money." Yeah, I was eating a roll, and it was just cracked. Like, oh, what was that? It was like a bone or something. And of course, in typical Jay Zilla fashion, I just kind of sift through the bread and kept on eating. Yeah, I wasn't smart then. I wasn't smart then. Jury's still out about the present. But okay, I just said something awful to you. Read Jay Zilla. Go.
No, 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 I wouldn't do that.
Oh, come on, Joe.
It's so rare, right? Like I try to walk this world being kind and polite and being the bigger
Okay.
person, and those moments are saved for the kitchen table when we're talking smack about somebody that's not that's I just the persona that
Mhm.
I put out for the world is positive and loving and kind, and I hope that everybody else feels the same way because I don't like to insult people. But every now
Yeah.
and then, a couple cocktails in, a little bit watching. I watch a little bit too much Real Housewives, and you know,
Oh.
you know.
Okay. Wait. Hang on. Hey, will you go grab Joel a couple of cocktails? Yeah, I need him to read me before the show is over. All right, come on, be good for ratings. Okay, thank you. All right, so this is probably a good time for you to introduce yourself to the people properly without me being, me, and tell them a little bit about what you do and why.
So my name is Joel Lobo. I live in Alamogordo, New Mexico. I actually am a public defender for the state of New Mexico. And what I do is basically I represent people who are charged with crimes um, for free, right? Because everybody has a constitutional right to be represented by an attorney when you're charged with a crime. And
Right.
so if you cannot afford an attorney, the court will provide one for you in the state of New Mexico and really in the United States. And so um, that's basically what I do. So I love my job. I represent lots of people that are marginalized in different ways. People who are suffering with addiction, people who are suffering with poverty, people who are suffering through lots of um, domestic violence or um, yeah, lots of other things. So I thoroughly enjoy what I do. It's very it's sad sometimes because I think it can be really gut wrenching to see clients go to prison for little stuff, usually drug possession, and they're going away for 8, 9 years. But at the end of the day, I do my best to defend them and keep them out of jail or prison if I can help it. And that's basically what I do. Um, yeah.
All right, man, that's heartwarming. So, what made you want to do that? I guess is the
Public
question.
defender work. Public defender work. I so I had a giant change in my let's just say political worldview. I when I first moved to the U.S. in 2005, I was far more conservative, far more religious, and then over time, spending time in college and living in Los Angeles and Colorado. I went to school in Fort
Mhm.
Collins, Colorado for my undergrad, and then Los Angeles for work for a while. I kind of do you want me to answer questions as they're coming up?
No, you finish your story and then we'll prompt you. But
Okay.
that's good. He's a natural. First of all, the hair is gorgeous, right?
Thank
The eyes are bright. He's got a bright smile. I'm falling in love with Joel here. And so basically, you'll see the comments pop up, and then you'll finish your point, and then I'll say, Glenn is Phil, y'all. Is in
Yeah.
the text with Joel. Does it matter if does it matter to you if they're guilty?
It does not. I don't think it should matter to any. I don't think it would matter to any criminal defense attorney. Um, Also, I just want to say that I'm here representing myself, right? So I don't represent the state of New Mexico while I'm here. I don't represent the public defender's office, and all my opinions are my own. However, no, it does not matter to me if they're guilty, because it's never truly about whether or not my client is guilty. What matters is whether or not the state of New Mexico can prove that they have done what they're saying, right? So, like,
Mhm.
let's for example, even if I know that my client was drinking and driving on a certain day, it doesn't matter, because I would never say that to the court, because I'm representing my client. The
Right.
state of New Mexico has to prove that my client was drinking and driving on a certain day, and I will never. It does. If they don't have the evidence, then the correct outcome is not guilty, because the term guilty and the term not guilty are not necessarily do not necessarily indicate whether or not this person did what they did, because
Right.
most crimes are committed when nobody's around except for one or two people, and so. Um, it's difficult to say whether or not something truly happened, because nobody was actually there, and it's near impossible to recreate what originally had happened. Um,
Yeah.
Usually, both parties have a lot of trauma that is induced through the event. Um, and so, even if it's, for example, like a domestic violence charge, and both parties are traumatized, usually, because there's these are usually circles of trauma.
Right.
So people who are abusers are usually have usually been abused, and they've grown up. It's usually the influence of prior trauma, prior violence against themselves, against them by other people
Mhm.
around them growing up. Um, a lack of love, understanding, family support systems, influence of drugs, lots of things feed into why people do what they do. But if the state of New Mexico cannot prove that my client committed this crime, then he's not guilty, regardless of whether or not he actually did those things.
So do I have it right? Because I watch a lot of TV, Joel. All
Mhm.
right, we talked about this, Mr. Lobo. Uh, the idea that there's that filler again. The ideal that I did it again. Is that a fine? Okay, we'll talk later. All right, so so for me, watching how things play out in like Law and Order and shows like that,
Mhm.
I'm always wondering like how much of that is accurate,
Not
right?
almost none.
Oh,
Almost.
that's so. You know what? Let's take it back. I didn't ask that. La 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 la. Okay, because I really it's so entertaining, and I was like, there's no way that you have to do that much school and that much reading and research, right? In preparation, that is that fun once you're actually
Yeah.
there. Yeah,
Well, it is fun though, right? Like, so I
for
when I say
you,
that, taking taking the dark stuff out of it, right?
right?
Taking out of it whatever may have happened. So I'll answer both two questions there. Is it fun to practice, and is it fun from the show? Is the show accurate? The shows are not accurate at all. Very, very, very little. And I think I used to watch a lot of legal shows because I really was into it. However, after going to law school and now practicing as a lawyer, I don't watch very much of it at all. Even shows like How to Get Away with Murder, Law and Order, The Good Wife.
Even that one,
Yeah, yeah. Most of them are over dramatized for TV. And I particularly remember watching, there was this one that was really well received called Lincoln Lawyer on Netflix. And so I was like, okay, let me give it a
right?
shot.
Matthew McConaughey.
That's right. And so when just after the first episode, I couldn't go any further because it was just so inaccurate. I think one of the biggest things that's often a theme in these shows is the element of surprise, and that's just not how things work. You
Mm.
can't run into a courtroom and last minute and be like, "Aha! Here I have the smoking gun." Because there are rules of evidence, and if I have evidence of something that I want to disclose, or the other way around, the state has to disclose them to me. They have a certain amount of time to disclose those things to me, and vice versa, right? So
Mhm.
if I have to whatever I want to show, whether or not it's a value of something that my client stole, let's just say, for example, um, and the state is saying that, let's just say, a necklace is over $10,000, but I have the receipt that it's actually $5,000.
Right.
That receipt, I have to take a copy of it and send it over to the state so they can review it, right? And they know what I'm going to use ahead of time. I can't wait till the day of trial and then jump in. Aha, I have the receipt, it's $5,000. Like, I can't do it like that because it would not come in. The judge would not. It's too late. It's not disclosed on time.
Right.
Because the other side has the right to cross-examine it. Is the receipt fake? Is the receipt true and correct? Is the receipt for this very same necklace? They have to verify those things, and we can
Wow.
negotiate before it goes to court.
How long does
Uh,
that process take usually?
it depends on the crime. So if it's like a misdemeanor, for example,
Look at him, like a true lawyer. Oh, words. Hold on. Wait a minute. Everybody, hold
oh,
on.
that's right. I'll answer that in just a second.
Got you.
Um, so to answer the next question that you had, which was whether or not it's similar in a courtroom, some things are similar, right? Like, and it depends
Right.
on the lawyer. I personally am a fighter. Like, I'm a litigator. I like to fight in the courtroom. I like to dramatize the courtroom. I do it for my clients. I do it for myself, and I do it because that is who I am. Lots of lawyers are kind of
Right.
quieter. They like to read and they like to write. They don't like being in the courtroom. They don't like being in trial, which is, I'm a trial lawyer. I like getting in front of a jury. I like putting on a presentation. I like a strong cross examination. I like to
Nice.
say, emphasize things using my vocal pitch and, addressing people, like, because I'm giving them a presentation. So I like those things. And those things are over dramatic because that's my style. I like
Gotcha.
using my voice to, like, go in on someone or pull it back. And a lot of times I might sometimes get too aggressive. That's the feedback I usually get. And, my supervisor and my other attorneys who are really close friends of mine, they'll say, dude, like, you're going too hard, like, pull it back a little bit because you're losing the jury. Um,
Okay. Where do
yeah.
you actually physically practice?
In Alamogordo, in New Mexico.
Alamogordo, New Mexico.
Yeah. So
Where's
it's
that at? Compared
south.
to Albuquerque.
It's about 3 hours southeast of Albuquerque. It's right by White Sands National Park.
White Sands National Park. You know what? Google does. But here's my thing. I'm going. I'm going to. I gotta see this.
Yeah,
Are people from the outside
trials are
allowed?
generally public proceedings, so everybody is allowed to watch.
Is there like a link or something?
Sometimes there's a Google link, not always, but sometimes there's a
Yeah.
link. It's not very good. It's not like there's multiple cameras set up, and you can't always
Mm,
hear things. But it is a public event. I mean, like, I think an even better like, there's trials in Albuquerque too. Like, they happen all over the state.
right.
And if there's a trial happening, especially at something that's public, the press is allowed to be there, unless there are certain unless it's an exception that the press isn't allowed.
Right.
But generally speaking, trials and all court hearings are public proceedings, and everybody's allowed to be there.
Oh, I'm going. So Miss Glennis Phil, y'all, for our audio only listeners, Joel. She says, so using your brilliant mind to get a person off on a technicality, wouldn't your talent be more profitable if you were a DA? Sorry,
A
I got lost
A
there.
district attorney. That's okay. So I think that it's a little. If you can clarify just a little, do you mean by profitable? Do you mean like make more money? Because
If
it's not about the money for me, right? Because I work for
uh,
the government. If it really was about the money, I would take my talent to, like,
let
a
me stop you
major
right
law.
there. Wait a minute. Objection. Okay. So look, if I know Miss Phil, y'all, I know for her she's coming at it from a moral aspect,
Oh, I see.
right? So yeah, go ahead and go on that. So if she's consistent, it's gonna be the moral aspect. She's one of
Okay.
our biggest fans here. We love Miss Phil, y'all. Oh, okay. All right, hang on. Oh no, she said the dreaded. Okay, Joel, you read that for me. I can't even.
Yeah, that's a
As a black
great.
person, I'm not allowed to say stuff.
She's saying. I mean, OJ got off because the police officer lied under oath, so all the evidence that the officer collected is called into question due to the lie. However, I don't know how I could defend a person if I knew 100% they were truly guilty. Much respect to you, Joel. I always wanted to be a lawyer. Well, it's never too late, and I think that you
CBD.
can
Oh
always go
my
to law
goodness.
school. Some of my colleagues in law school were older than I. I went to law school in my late 20s, early 30s, but I know people who were in their 40s and 50s as well who are in law school. So it's never too late. However, to answer the question, no. So I don't at all feel bad about doing what I do. I know that that's a
Nice.
question I often get because for two reasons. The first is the state of New Mexico always has to prove my client's guilt. If they can, prove my client's guilt to a jury of 12 people, then he's going to get convicted. There's no way I can get them out of it, right? Because the evidence is all there, and I can see. I know a strong case when I see it, and I'll usually try to go a different route. For example, plea bargaining, or see if we what the defenses are, and counsel my client accordingly.
Okay.
However, sorry, was there a question?
No. Go ahead.
Okay.
Pre-
So
Preparing our case.
because it's I'm concerned more about the larger system, right? Because if we can if we allow the state of New Mexico to convict somebody, um, even today, based on weaker evidence, even if they are guilty, right? So let's just say that someone actually did what they're saying. This person, let's just say Jeremy, for let's just say that you stole. The state of Mexico is alleging that you stole a necklace worth $10,000. Let's just say,
Never. Objection.
right? But now they don't have, say they lost the necklace, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we go to trial, they don't have the necklace, right? They lost it. So I would absolutely argue that this case should be dismissed, even if you did what you did, right? It doesn't matter whether you did or not. There is a way out for us, and that's because they destroyed, or they lost certain evidence. Now, if the answer, I know a lot of people would say, well, how can you do that? Because he definitely should be punished for stealing this necklace.
Right.
And my answer to that is, it's not about this one person. It's not about Jeremy today, right? It's about the system at large. Because if we let the state of New Mexico, including all the prosecutors, DAs, and the police, get away with having lost this evidence today and still convicting them, they're going to keep doing it. And they're going to do it again for the next person and again for the next person. And if there's going to come even though you may have done the stealing this time, the next person may not have, right? And now we're going to convict somebody based on evidence that the state is saying they lost, right? So it's about the larger system, because we have to protect people's constitutional rights every single time. And if they mess it up this time, they're going to mess it up the next time. And the police officers have told me in person that, Mr. Lobo, you're an a-hole. But you teach me to do my job, and that's exactly right, because they'll not do the same mistake the next time, now will they?
Oh man, just read the officer. The officer's not even here to defend themselves, man.
I know.
Joel, bro, you went too far, bro. No, okay. So
the other thing that I want to say,
go ahead.
Sorry, the last point is, I would never work for the prosecutor's office, because I personally believe, this is my personal opinion, that the criminal justice system is unjust. We have laws on the books that I disagree with, right? Like legality and morality, although a lot of people feel like they're intertwined, they really aren't. Certain things that are bad are still legal, like, for example, cheating on your spouse. Certain things that are illegal, in my opinion, are not morally bad. For example, using drugs. I don't think that the state of Mexico should criminalize using drugs. However, it is legal. It is
Yeah.
illegal to use drugs. So my clients go to prison for decades for having half a gram of meth on them.
Oh man.
Right? And so, no,
Without intent to like lace somebody in poison, like some little kids hot chocolate, right? Like
no,
most of
those
the
are
time
different.
it's self-harm, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's
Yeah.
very different, because if you are, if you're going to spike a kid's hot chocolate with methamphetamine,
Yeah.
that's a much bigger crime than just
It's a
having
waste of meth.
methamphetamine on you. But
Use a
that's uncommon. The most common case that I defend is possession of a controlled substance, just
right.
having the drug on you. That's it.
Okay, so I'm with you on this. So okay, when I was saying that there, I was saying like it's usually things that like the negative effects are usually on the user, the consumer themselves,
That's right.
right? It's not something that's gonna hurt the general population,
No,
right?
it's a victimless crime. You're right.
So here is my weird like theory.
Hmm.
You pull an organ and you decriminalize all drugs. But people like to say, well, what about someone who is sorry, are you aware of this? That Oregon has
No, tell me
decriminalized all
more.
drugs? Oh, I mean, Oregon has decriminalized all drugs.
Oh, Oregon. Yes, 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 of course. And Washington too, I think.
Oh, DC, right? Oh, no.
Yeah. No, no, state.
Washington State, right? Seattle and all them. So I mean, their numbers are coming back pretty impressive, right? They
Mhm,
haven't imploded. It's not like The Walking Dead out there, right?
mhm.
But the idea that like, oh, well, what are you gonna do if they get high and break into somebody? Well, we have a law
That prevents
for
breaking and entering.
right.
That's right.
Well, what if they kill somebody? We have a law
For
for
that as
murder.
well.
So
Yeah,
the
because
idea that
people are
so
quick
many
to like
people are
jump
in
to like
prison,
the larger problem, right? Like that's usually what they say, right? When it comes to drug use, a lot of people
mhm,
ask me, "Well, what if they break in when they're high? What if they drive when they're high? What if they murder someone when they're high?" Okay, and that's fine. Like there charge them with the murder, charge them with the DWI, charge them with the breaking entering. I'm not saying that those things are okay. I'm saying that them using the drug is okay because really it's none of your effing business what someone else puts in their body.
I like your listen. I'm gonna give you something here from the other show. Frap. It's none of their frapping business.
That's
See,
right. It's none of their
family
property business.
friendly, right? Family friendly, but you still get to let something off of your chest, right?
Hmm.
So okay, oh man, where do you even start with something like that? So way back in the day, there was a
Hmm.
guy who was about to lose an election,
Hmm.
and because he was about to lose an election, he made up a bunch of stuff about this wild plant that was growing, marijuana.
Oh
And
my
he
god.
says it will drive black men to, murder the husbands and rape the wives.
Hmm.
Just made it up.
Hmm.
And people were like, oh no, we got to get this off the shelves. That's right, folks. It used to be sold with your, local sodas and malts and, your other like headache medication, right?
Hmm.
All sold in one place. There were a lot of hemp products, right? Paper, clothing, all the way up to like, bags,
Hmm.
right? For the ladies. So he makes this up and gets elected. So he has to keep telling the lie to keep getting reelected.
I
And so
didn't know this. Which
eventually,
president is this?
oh, please pull that up for him. So literally, this guy, this guy, he came out. I think he's one of the ones who was responsible for the propagandist film. Oh, what is it called? But it basically depicted black politicians, shucking and jiving and eating
Hmm.
fried chicken and watermelon with
Oh my
barefoot in the
god.
Senate on the Senate floor, right? And this is what this weed makes them do, right?
Oh my god. Yeah,
And so,
eat fried chicken and eat watermelon. That's what weed makes them do. Big whoop.
yeah,
Like the shade
yeah.
clap. Like
Oh, don't forget the raping of white women and murdering of white men and destruction of property. So when that happens, the lie gets so big they create him a department. I'm pretty sure it's now the DEA. Okay,
wow.
and he runs said department for nearly 3 decades.
Wow.
That leads to dare to keep kids off drugs and all of the war on drugs and all of those things,
Hmm.
all built on one man trying to get reelected.
Hmm.
So fast forward, there are more people in prison now, right? Harry, Jay, and Slinger. Yes, that's my guy.
Wow.
Okay, so I have a weird thing about villains. One of my favorite parts of Batman is the Joker.
Hmm.
Just somebody that just gets under his skin and pushes him to the absolute edge. And
Hmm.
when Batman, always, is victorious, right? Then we all cheer, yay, Batman. But I'm not gonna lie to you, Joel. Between me and you, sometimes I root for the Joker.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's natural, right? Like, I think there's definitely times when I get like a certain case, and like for example, like my client slapped the shit out of her partner because he was doing whatever, like saying stupid stuff, or just inappropriate stuff, and then she like just like gave him a good one. There's definitely times I'm like, oh, he freaking deserved it too. Like,
That's right. Now, wait a minute.
but
Are
that's
you
not what
allowed
we
to
meant.
say stuff like that? He's like, yeah, he fapping deserved it, right?
Well,
Okay.
not always, but there's definitely facts, right? Like, I mean, there's definitely times I've had cases of domestic violence where the wrong person was charged, where I particularly remember a certain person. It's been a long time ago, but
Right.
this lady, her partner was very very controlling. I mean, um, she was a foreign woman. She did not speak English. He was holding
Mm,
on her passport and all of her papers, and
wow.
he would routinely abuse her physically and verbally.
Oh
And
my goodness.
the one time, like she slapped him. She slapped him. He called the cops and had her arrested.
What
And I
happened
was
afterward?
I was about I had him good. I did an interview with him. I found all the police reports and all the police observations of him in the past.
Uh-huh.
All the people that he knew, I interviewed them, and I was like, so I was ready for that trial. I was going to go in there and get this lady acquitted of this crime, but I sent all my discovery. The evidence in the case is called discovery to the DAs, and they actually dropped the case.
Oh man. And see, look at that smile. Like, see, Glennis, Miss Phil, y'all, he does good, right? So in the example of my main man who put all that effort into staying in office by lying on an entire race of people,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Thus making a thing that would plague that same race of people
Hmm.
for years to come, right? So
Hmm.
for you, it's like a sliding scale, like that balancing scale, right? It's never even, right?
No,
If you
no,
notice the statues, it's always slightly leaning.
that's right. That's
So what you're trying to do is like you're trying to make it more balanced,
That's
right?
right. That's right. And at the end of the day, right, like everybody's entitled to a defense, right? Like whoever is charged with a crime, they have to talk to an attorney. Okay. Don't talk to the cops, talk to an attorney. Let me at least look at what they have against you and let you know, oh, this is a bad case. Like we should there, I don't know how we can get out of this. Or let me at least look at it. Not me personally, but like let an attorney look at it. Because you are entitled to defense under our Constitution in the United States. You are entitled to a defense when you are
Mm-hmm.
charged with a crime, regardless of how small it is. It could be a DWI all the way up to a first-degree murder, right? It could be anything in between, and you will have to get. You are entitled to a public defender if you cannot afford an attorney.
So even that $10,000 necklace I allegedly stole.
Hmm.
Oh, give me another law term. This is egregious. How dare you sully the Jay Zilla name?
You could say it's slander. I'm slandering your name by alleging that you stole
Ooh.
a $10,000 necklace.
Hey man, at this point I'll settle for a selfie. So okay. Here's my thing. When you have somebody, so how much does the different cultures come into play? Because there are a lot of when I worked for UNM, there was such a diverse culture, and there are a lot
Mhm.
of cultures, especially Eastern, who they just thought like try to make yourself as small as possible, right? So don't disturb anybody. There's a leak. We'll figure out how to fix it ourselves. Don't bother the man.
Oh,
Because
okay.
they're so afraid of like yeah, I don't know. They're just afraid of getting in trouble. So
Hmm.
because of that, they're usually some of the most targeted peoples on U.S. soil, right? So
Hmm.
you may have a little sweet old Asian lady who's been just harassed by this person, but because she's like, "Oh, this is not my country, and it's proper to just keep my eyes down and
Hmm.
just grit and bear it." Like, what do you do to get them to like, hey, take advantage of these constitutional rights?
Hmm.
Constitutional rights, Miss Phil, y'all. Okay, go ahead.
At the end of the day, victims of crimes and perpetrators, um, we all we can do is we can't force them to do anything, right? Like,
Mhm.
so we'll just give them advice, legal advice, and then they make their own choices. That being said, if somebody does not want an attorney, and they choose to, whatever, say that they're guilty, or just choose to want to get it done with, so they won't talk to an attorney, or don't feel like they need to, um, all I can say is you should talk to an attorney. But if you're not going to, then you're not going to. It's your choice to make. In terms of cultural aspects, that happens sometimes, where we get, people who get taken advantage of, or don't want to participate because they
Right.
feel like that happens a lot with us, because for us, we have a lot of indigenous tribes. We have a lot of Latino clients here in southern New Mexico, and
Hmm.
they do feel they're like more shy, or um, they're more resistant, I think, to participating. A lot of times it's a language barrier, it's a culture barrier. I mean, I think the best solution for that is just to try and make them as comfortable as possible. It's never going to be perfect,
Right.
but I try to make them as comfortable as possible, knowing that they're in a safe space, and I'm their attorney, so whatever they say to me is privileged. I'm not going to repeat it unless I think it's going to help us.
Hmm.
So make it. I try to make it as safe as possible for them. We've also had clients where their partners or family members are pressuring them to say one thing, say another thing, not participate, or not press charges, or trying to get them away from attorneys or the police. And it's a challenge. It's a challenge. I'm particularly thinking of a case where we had a similar situation with another domestic violence victim who
Hmm.
was charged with the crime of domestic violence because she hit her husband back after he was harassing, abusing, and controlling her. And we personally knew what was going on. I mean, he would stand outside our office when he dropped her off, to like talk to
Jeez.
us, to pick her up, and he's not supposed to be contacting her. And so um, we have gears in place. I mean, we do what we can, trying to be very, very safe of that, like, and trying to be as safe as possible for that particular person, right? Because we don't want any harm to come to her. And we really don't want any harm to come to him. Like, I honestly, like, we're trying to just do the least amount of harm. Can you just leave us in peace, and like just don't talk to her because you're not supposed to?
Right.
Um, and so we made sure that we watched her as she got in and out of the car, and if she needed resources, or if she wanted to get away, we would have absolutely helped her. From him, but it's her choice to make, right? Like, I think when people are stuck in circles of domestic violence, they'll ask for help when they're ready, right? Like, it's not,
Yeah.
we can't force people out of toxic relationships. Um, we can try. It's not going to work. They're going to be right back there, until they're ready. So we would ask her, what we can do to help her. Like, what can we do to assist you, right? Tell us and we'll help you. Um, so that's how we can deal with it, I think. There's no other way. I think asking them what their needs are and how those needs can be met, I think, is probably the best way to go about it. Me personally, I've started learning Spanish, so I speak a little bit of Spanish. I have been for like studying for the last 3 years or so, and it's largely because I want to communicate with my clients who don't speak English, and hopefully it makes them more comfortable. I don't know if it does, but I've experienced that there's a lot of clients out there who don't speak any English, and instead of having a translator, a third person in the room or interpreter to translate everything from English to Spanish, it sometimes is more comfortable for them to just speak to me directly, and so
Right.
those are my personal efforts to hopefully make the situation a bit lighter on them, because being charged with a crime is very stressful and very difficult for
Right.
that person as well.
In such a difficult moment like that, I thank God for hair like yours. Okay.
I try to
Like
look good. I try to look good for
I
the.
can imagine just coming in there and just thinking like, "Oh, I'm supposed to try." Whoa, what we got here? Yeah, I think I should talk about this issue, Joel, once a week.
Mhm,
No, man, that's a tough thing. That's a tough thing. We talked on the show before about abuse being more than a punch,
mhm,
and man, I go like if my co-host Chulo Rich, shouts out to him, he's doing some traveling. If he was here, he'd probably warn me against like going on one of these giant tangents, right?
mhm,
You may see a shoe or something fly from this side of the screen from my lovely wife slash producer. But when I try to connect these very large concepts and then put them through a funnel down to each individual's situation,
mhm.
that's a tough task to do,
It is.
right? But
It's
when you
very,
look
they're
at
very complex.
right, but if you look at brain chemistry and our
Mhm,
brain not being able to tell the difference between reality and fiction, right? It adapts to what you tell it, or I like to say download to it,
mhm,
right? If you look at hurt people hurting people,
mhm,
right? If you look at wages being such where we're kind of dependent on each other, even though I might not can't even stand you,
mhm.
right? We may be codependent.
Absolutely,
There,
and that's almost
yeah,
always the case. I mean, a lot of our clients, right, like the segment of the population that we serve, a lot of people living in poverty, particularly,
mhm,
right, like they are codependent on each other, and they have to think about their families, they have to think about their kids, they have to think about where if the dad goes to prison, then what's going to happen? Who's going to earn money? Based on like there a lot of them aren't really earning very much anyways, right? It's usually
right,
like low skilled jobs if they even have a job. Um, and there are lots of thoughts that go into it's a very very complex system, a system of trauma really
yeah,
that both individuals are going through because but we all as public defenders, our clients today are the victims tomorrow, right? So the perpetrators of today are the victims of on the next day,
right,
especially when it comes to domestic violence, because it's a lot of times it is um, mutual. It's mutual combat. Not
right.
always, but a lot of times.
It's frapping, unbelievable. So what is something as a lawyer, a public defender, that you can tell that could help people right now?
Don't talk to the police.
I'm not gonna say that he said "frap the police," but
Um, and it's not about any good cop will tell you that you're supposed to that you should ask for a lawyer.
right.
Sorry, I'm trying to get the light on so I'm not so dark, but
I like it. It's kind
yes,
of like you're setting the mood here. Don't you turn my
I
lights
know
down too? Wait a minute
it's
now.
like my dark side coming out.
Are we having a moment? Are you about to read me?
No, no, I wouldn't do that. I'm
Yeah.
too nice. But no, I think the number one thing, don't talk to the police,
Mhm.
especially if you are the suspect. They don't have to tell you that you're the suspect, but just don't talk to them. You might get pushback, depending on where you are in the state and the type of cop it is. I think a lot of good cops will know not to talk to you anymore if you ask for a lawyer. But a lot of them will try to push back at you, and they'll try. I've seen cops do the most shady, frapping things, including saying, "Oh, man up!" Like take accountability, like just coercing people into confessing to sometimes things they didn't even do because they just want to get out of the situation where the cop is yelling in their face. So just don't talk to the police. Politely and kindly ask for a lawyer. Say, I don't want to talk to you without a lawyer present. So please do not ask me any more questions. And that's it.
Right.
Don't fight back. So
Right.
um,
Have you ever had a situation? Am I good? Have you ever had a situation to where Oh man, I can't look. Producer, let's get him out of here. He's too good looking. I can't. I'm trying to focus here. I got a show to do. You know what I mean? So, has there ever been a situation where someone has politely asked for police officers to not continue with their personal investigation? Is that even in their purview of duties? But is there any point in time where people have asked them politely not to, and they continued, and you were able to use that sort of dialogue um, to, I guess, get them out of the crime that they allegedly committed? Asking for a friend who
You
may or
know,
may not have stolen a $10,000 necklace.
it happens all the time. It happens
Yeah.
all the time where the cop just presses on, regardless of what the defendant is requesting, which is an attorney, and the cop presses on and presses on. In particular, I'm not going to drop any names, but I particularly know certain cops who are notorious for pressing on despite the person having asked for an attorney. It's just bad behavior. It's poor policing,
Mm.
and if you really are worried about someone's not violating somebody's constitutional rights, they have a Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. They don't have to talk to you. If they've asserted their right to remain silent, you need to respect that and back up. And
Mm.
that's what the Constitution says. So if
Okay.
you
Objection. No, I don't know.
yes,
Wait. Overruled. No, wait. What is it? What's the? But I don't know why I'm asking my wife. I've got a lawyer right here. So you have objection
mhm.
overruled
So
against
whenever an
sustained.
objection is basically, so what we do as trial attorneys is we're in,
Uh-huh.
so there's three levels of courts, right? So we're in the lowest level of a court, which is the trial court. And that's where all the facts are determined. That's where we know the jury, other fact finders, or sometimes the judge, but generally the jury is a fact finder, and they have to determine what exactly happened on that day. Like, did Jeremy steal this ten thousand
You
dollar
know what?
necklace
You know
on that
what? You don't have any other examples, huh? You're just gonna pick
Well,
on
I
me
was just
today.
thinking it's just easier to stick with the same example.
All right. So
Um,
if Miss Phil y'all right
mhm,
is an officer,
mhm,
okay,
mhm.
talk to me about what I actually have the rights. Now I know this may be tricky because it may be different for each state. Correct.
It is different for each state and how they interpret it, but there are certain constitutional rights that
Okay.
the so the federal constitution is gives rights to all people in all the states, and then each state
Mm,
gives more rights if they want to. So in New Mexico, we have more rights than the federal constitution gives us, but there is a floor. There is like a minimum amount that every state must give you, and then
uh-huh.
each individual state may give you more than what's required federally.
Oh, so your liberal cities with all the people packed in the cities are most likely because of the diversity, right?
That's right. So blue states tend to give, for example, when it comes to being tough on drug crimes, for example, right? So
Mhm.
blue states tend to be a little bit more lax than red states are, and it just depends from state to state.
Okay, Joel, you ready?
Yes.
Let's play a
Let's play a
game.
game.
All right. Let's do it.
Sorry, I don't know what that was. So I am I don't know. Let's say that let's see. Okay, I'm the president of the United States.
Hmm.
I have granted you with all my power and fervor
Hmm.
the right to interview me for 5 minutes. You got
Okay.
5 minutes. Mr. Lobo, if that's your real name, I'm gonna check into that, Jill. Okay, you got 5 minutes. Tell me what you would like. What do you think that I should be doing in order to support not only the nation as a whole, but people on a state and even local level of government? How can I support you, sir?
You mean like support me personally, or like just what do you mean? How do you
Every
mean?
American.
Send me a check. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I need a check. Hey, get Joel a check. Every time he smiles, he gets a check. Every time he says "frap," double it. Okay. So what are we doing with this 5 minute time period? Like, what would you like to see your president doing, not only for you as an individual, so you can actually feel change,
Oh,
but
sure,
for the whole?
sure. I think so. If you were the president, and if our current president really should, 5 things that he should do right now is legalize marijuana federally across the board, and expunge all marijuana crimes across the board for everyone who's ever been convicted of
Mm,
marijuana crimes. That's number one. Number two, he should decriminalize, not legalize, but decriminalize all other drugs, so that way people are not thrown away in incarceration for long amounts of time for simple possession of drugs. Number three, he should provide free healthcare for like a universal system of healthcare
mhm.
for all people that are uninsured in the United States who cannot afford insurance. So basically, a Medicare for all system where, based on somebody's income level, they get coverage from the federal government, but including coverage at no cost for those who cannot afford it. The third thing, he should forgive all student loan debt at this very second, and the fifth thing is that he should all public um, all public colleges and universities should be free.
How dare you, sir? How dare you? You want me to provide not only freedom, but like, I don't know, that education and health care,
Healthcare for people,
right?
I don't know. I feel like it's pretty important to
Are
have a
you
country that
mad,
has
man?
access to education
Come
and
on,
health.
Jack. Come on, Jack. Get out of here. Be reasonable, man. Come on. Like, how about like a nice tour of the White House and a fat steak? Meet me halfway here, Lobo. Come on, man. Come on,
But
Jack.
a tour of the White House and a fat steak only helps me. I'm trying to look for like larger things that'll help everybody.
Oh man, we'll talk later and corrupt you properly. Okay, so geez, I mean, seriously, next he'll be asking for fresh water and proper sanitation and that gum housing for everybody.
That's exactly right. We need
Oh,
housing and running water for everybody in the U.S.
right.
Exactly.
It's laughable. Like when you talk about what's the term they use? Is it food insecurity,
Yeah,
unhoused
food
people?
insecurity. Exactly. Yeah,
So,
housing insecurity, food insecurity, transportation insecurity.
oh, Joel, I'm gonna give this ideal away. I know Bezos and them are probably listening because we're so brilliant and handsome,
Hmm.
right? One of us more than the other. We don't have to differentiate. All right. As a whole, we're a handsome twosome here.
That's right.
Okay. And
Power
so
couple.
I feel like they're gonna be listening to this idea, but they can have it for free because I think it'll absolutely help. So as your president, immediately that's one of the rights that I have that I can, pardon people and expunge their records,
Hmm.
right? But then the question is, what do you do by letting probably most of the prison population be free, right? Because so my rebuttal to that sort of question, because I have these little private debates, right?
Sure,
My
sure,
rebuttal,
absolutely.
yeah, my rebuttal to that is if they mess up, we have a police force. Don't we care about the police? They got this, right? If they
Wait, with
torture
the
that gun
expunction,
building,
do you mean what are we? I was only asking
I'm
for
saying
expunge
releasing.
because
I'm releasing. I'm expunging. So I'm decriminalizing. I'm expunging, and I'm releasing. And my ideal is that because I do believe a lot of our problems come from our separation in this large country. Like if you
Mhm,
look at the map, we're all kind of condensed in certain areas and then
mhm,
spread out throughout the country. But
mhm,
if a poor family in Florida wants to see the Grand Canyon,
mhm,
so they can feel a little bit like, whoa, it's bigger than me,
mhm,
or go to New York City,
mhm,
right? And see, whoa, this is what a city's like. And vice versa. Then because we're exposed to each other in all these different cultures, I think it'll fix a lot, Joel. And how do you do that?
sure.
You model the European transit system. First
Yeah,
repairing our transit
absolutely.
system that exists, but then expanding it into these places that
Sure.
bolsters. We can make like $2.50 each. You go from Florida to New York or wherever, right? We use
Mhm,
the technology of the Japanese bullet train, so we can, because Americans are all about speed. We make sure we have it so pristine to kind of model the European transit network, right? The
mhm,
web there, right? How do you build all this? Well, we just released a bunch of people who are brilliant enough to design, maintenance,
mhm. Hire
and
them, exactly.
run all of this.
Hmm.
right? So I'm trying to think of ways that, like, if I do this thing, what's the opposition going to complain about, and how can I go ahead and be proactively defensive, right?
Sure.
See, if it weren't for all that reading and knowledge and smarts and stuff, I could have been a lawyer.
You could. You still can. You still can. Only
No,
it's
that's
only 3 years,
too much
Jeremy.
reading. Too much reading for me. Can I get there on audiobook?
Get
Like, can
oh.
I read all the law books like
Um,
audiobook
you
style?
can, some of them, but you remember you have to take the bar exam, and that's an actual test, unfortunately.
Have you seen Catch Me If You Can?
I have not. Everybody's told me to watch it, and like My Cousin
Tom
Vinny and
Hanks.
Catch Me If You Can are like the two classic like lawyer
Oh yeah,
movies, but I haven't seen either one of them.
that was my next one. But yeah, so Tom Hanks is an officer who's chasing down this fraud who is Leonardo DiCaprio,
Hmm.
right? And basically, what he did was, like, he just faked his way into surgical rooms and,
Oh
like,
no.
as an airplane pilot, right? So
Uh-huh.
he had a perfect replica of the uniform, and he
Hmm.
took the Pan Am like stickers off of the toys and
Hmm.
put them on checks that were so good that they couldn't distinguish between the real checks and the fake ones.
Hmm.
And so he would fly everywhere and collect a check, and he would be greeted as a captain. And captain's like, "Hey, mind if I hop a ride with y'all?" "Oh, sure, captain." You know what I mean? It was
Hmm.
brilliant, brilliant movie. I think it's worth your while. I don't even know why I even brought that to wrap up. Lawyer. I could fake and be a lawyer. There you go.
Hmm.
Because I think, spoiler alert, that's one of the things he was like, "Well, how did you, fake the bar exam?" He said, "Oh, I didn't. I took that." He was like, "And passed." And this is like a kid. This is based off a true story, Joel.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, we're gonna let you out of here. You and that beautiful head of hair needs your rest,
Thank you.
right? You're
Thank
gonna
you.
be
I
saving the
appreciate
world.
you guys. Thank you for
Yeah.
having me.
Well, we have to get you back on, Joel. I have more
Absolutely. Yeah,
questions.
just let me know, and then
Mm,
I'm happy to come back. So
Yeah, don't talk to the police.
that's
All
right.
right, but
That's my
first,
one
Joel,
thing.
I need you to shout out with all your, excitement, Urban Academia, and promo anything, and give me one funny story about our dear friend James, aka
Oh
Jamie.
gosh, yes. Let me think about. I don't know if it's not about Jamie, but I think she was at the she was at a New Year's party with me at our common friend's a New Year's party,
Uh-huh.
and I had a little too much to drink, and I think she was sleeping in the same. She was in the same house, not in the same room, but I woke up in a bunch of my throw up, and I had to clean it all out. Uh,
Oh,
but I think she's such a good, like, a nice person. She has no embarrassing stories, at least to my knowledge. I'll ask her the next time if I can use one and bring it to you.
oh man! I will tell you. So we work together at a place called Mayberry Senior Services, where we
Hmm.
deal with dementia patients, most notably Alzheimer's.
Hmm.
And we have some characters, Joel. I
That's
mean,
awesome.
some characters. Uh, One of our favorite people, I won't name her name, but basically where she's at, her dementia is just everything is fun and funny, right? Even when she seems to be upset or agitated, like, you can crack a joke and she's like, she just laughs, right? And so in one of these situations, I may use I don't know if this is a bad word or not. So we were doing a two-person, or two of the ladies, I believe, were doing a two-person lift, so one on each arm. And
Hmm.
she goes, "Ow, don't pinch my tit." And if Jamie, that laugh,
Yes, it's that laugh.
okay, we can hear the laugh from like 3 blocks away. We were like, "What happened?" She said, and she couldn't even, like, I mean, turning red and like just convulsing, laughing so hard, man. But yeah, heart of gold. Everybody who works there, especially her. But yeah, I thank her for bringing us you and that wonderful head of hair.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Have a lovely, lovely evening. It's very
You
nice to meet you
Well,
all.
go ahead in the back room, but do not log off yet.
All right, so we
Um,
just hit leave studio.
no, 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 no. My
Uh,
wife's gonna take care of
oh, I
everything.
see.
You just
Okay,
go
got
get you some cookies and
it. All right.
cakes. Get them off the screen. There we go. All right, man. Thank you so much for joining this conversation. We're gonna have to get the good haired lawyer back on to talk about some more things. Oh, sorry, Joe Lobo, if that's his real name. I got my suspicions. Anyway, Thank you so much for joining Urban Academia. We try to do this thing every Saturday night. Tune in Monday. What the Frap podcast. We got some Juneteenth stuff coming up, and the Juice Assist ladies will be coming on to talk about their podcast as well as Juneteenth. We talk about a crazy situation. Slavery is over, says Abraham Lincoln in the war. Almost over 2 years later, Texas slaves find out that they're free. Can you imagine? This is what birthed the celebration of Juneteenth, right there off Galveston in Houston, Texas. So please, 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 if you're in the Columbia, Tennessee, and surrounding counties and areas, go out and support. Hey, it's free 99. Go get some food. Go enter the tournament. There's a history hut, local vendors, free families, fun stuff, kids zones. I mean, it's a wonderful time. The mayor's out there, police and firemen are out there with the community having a fantastic time. But please go check that out. That's I call her my big little sister because she definitely is younger than me, but definitely way more mature. And I'm actually wearing a shirt. Oh, wait. Can they see it? Hold on. Hey, there we go. Wait, slide this way. I'm crooked. All right, support Juneteenth. There it is, right there. I am going to wear this shirt until either Juneteenth is passed or my sister gives me a free brand new one. All right. Hey, same as always. Thank you so much for watching. We love you all, especially Miss Phil, y'all. Remember, common sense ain't common. Peace. For you. For you. Hey, somebody forgot the intro, so here you go.